Yo, what's going on? I'm A1 from Kansas City, Kansas. Singer, songwriter, producer. I've worked with Drake, Chris Brown, Tyga, to name a few. I would say my specialty is songwriting and producing. I'm really just like a big mogul. Everything is my specialty. So I got into music through my cousin, Mele. I was back home in Kansas playing basketball. Actually, I was in college. I did 3 years in college. That's all I knew was basketball, 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 basketball. And honestly, I always saw myself being in the NBA until my third year of college. I hurt my knee, and then I was like, you know what, let me redshirt, take a year off. And I went back home, ended up getting a job, and was working for 8 months. And then in between my breaks, I would write raps. So a few people was like, yo, you actually dope. You could rap. So I started taking it to the head oh yeah, I can rap, you know? I started to take it a little more serious. That's when my cousin, he was in an R&B group, and they were back and forth from Atlanta, LA, and back to Kansas. And he ended up, hitting me and was like, I know you rapping and shit. If you want to take this serious, I think we should move to LA. And at the time I had a girlfriend, and I looked at her and I was like, I'm down. Let's do it. I broke the lease at my apartment, put my 30 days in at my job, got my last check, which was $1,000. With $200 of that, we bought one-way tickets to LA on the Greyhound. We got to LA, and I was just like, yeah, I started seeing the city lights. I'm like, I already felt like I made it. Then reality hit me the next day. I'm like, yo, we ain't got nowhere to live. We just gotta figure this shit out. So he had a friend who had this independent car wash. We was like, yo, let us wash cars here and make a little change. And we was just trying to meet people that do music. And that was our job every day. And we would eat one meal. We would go to Panda Express and share a meal, or we'll go to Denny's. One day, we was walking up Lankershim in North Hollywood, and we ran into Raphael Sadiq. And then he rolled by us on a bike what up? And then I was just like, what up? We hurry up and hit the corner, and he was just going into a gate. And we was like, yo, this must be where his studio is at. We had a demo of 5 songs. So we went up there 2 days later, and we rung the doorbell. The engineer was like, just leave the CD, I'll give it to him. I knew that was some fraud shit. I never heard nothing until one day we walked past there and the gate was open. It was broke that day. We just was like, fuck it, we ain't got nothing to lose. So we went in there, and he was right there. He was on the phone. We was like, oh shit. So he did one of those, hold on. He had us waiting for 20 minutes. It was the most awkward thing that I've experienced. He got off the phone, he was like, yo, how y'all getting my shit? We was like, we just looking for opportunity, you know what I'm saying? We songwriter, producers. And he was like, oh, okay, that's how shit happened. So he was like, y'all got a demo? So we gave him another demo, and he was like, leave your number, and then I'm gonna check it out and hit y'all up. He never did hit us up. So obviously he never even listened to it. And we was like, fuck it. Until one day, a week later, we was at this wing place called Big Wang's, and we ran into him again. And I just was like, man, fuck him, man. And then my cousin was like, nah, but he fanning us back there. So I was like, oh shit. So we go back there, and he was like, yeah, I was telling my boy how y'all just mobbed in my shit. So he's like, I'm at the studio every day, 3:30, come through whenever. So we was like, oh shit. So we was there the next day, 3:30. And he was like, man, y'all ain't playing no games. So he was like, I ain't even listened to the demo. I don't even know where it's at. We was like, it's cool. Popped another one in his hand. He played it on the spot. And then he turned the music down and was like, yo, y'all serious? What do y'all want? And we was like, we just want opportunity. So he gave us some beats. He said, look, when y'all write something, hit me up, and y'all can come here and record. We went back to the shed that night, and we didn't play no games. I had my phone playing some of the beats. My cousin had his phone, and we was writing songs. So we wrote 2 songs. Soon as 9 in the morning hit, we called him and was like, yo, we wrote some songs, we ready. He was like, man, like, y'all niggas, like, he was like, y'all own it. He was like, all right, we'll find an engineer. We didn't know nothing about engineering, nothing. So we was just like trying to figure it out. We figured it out and we recorded a song. He let us use the studio the whole month he was on tour. He got back, we had about 15 solid songs. And then he was just like, yo, I want to sign y'all. I want to do like a 50-50 deal. And we was like, shit, all right. He upgraded the room. He gave us the B room, the second biggest room in his studios. We just got to creating and meeting new people and just learning how to create great songs. We wrote a country song, and like a few weeks later, it ended up in the hands of Mike Karen from Atlantic Records. And he was like, yo, who is these guys? I want to meet these guys. We was trying to get a publishing deal. We flat broke so we can get into an apartment and get settled in. He was like, you know, but y'all like straight up the middle writers, and we didn't understand what that was. And he was like, well, you know, there's no edge to you guys. So we was like, oh, okay. We didn't get offended. We just like, oh, cool, that's just what he think, you know, whatever. So he started putting us in writing sessions, and literally 6 days later, we ended up writing a record called Unusual, and that record went to Trey Songz featuring Drake. That was our like foot in the door right there. Everybody was blowing up the phones. Even though we was homeless, we passed on all the deals, all the offers. We had 6-figure deals on the table, like $200,000, $300,000 deals on the table, and we passed. We didn't want to get locked into a situation and get forgot about. So by having Raphael Sadiq as our big bro, he was schooling us like, nah, don't do it like that, don't do this, don't do that. They're just trying to do this with y'all. And so we listened to him, and we was just getting knowledge from him every day. And even though we were supposed to sign to him, in which we didn't, he became more of like family. When we turned everybody down, everybody was like, fuck them. We would walk past the same people who was trying to sign us, and they would not even shake our hands, wouldn't even look at us. My heart was broken when I would put my hand out and they just like, fuck you, like basically. And I was just like, I didn't really understand it until, you know, throughout time of just living out here and figuring out like this Hollywood life. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That same record went number 6, I believe, on the R&B charts. And we was up for a ASCAP award. And those same people were right there like, yo, congrats, like, proud of y'all. And I was just like, yo, this is weird as hell, but cool, now I get it. So now I'm gonna play the game. So I started playing this industry game, and it's like, yo, if you wanna really, really survive in the music industry, you gotta play this game. Then I ran into Chris Brown. Now, I've been trying to get in touch with Chris Brown for like 2 years. I always said, when I get Chris Brown's attention, it's over. He gonna fuck with me, you know. I ran into him from working at Record Plant with Diddy. Chris was across the hall. I went across the hall to holler at Chris. My homeboy Bobby Love, he was in there, and he was like the one who really like made it cool that I was in there. It was like, yo, I got a record, you know what I'm saying? Can I play it? It was a gang of guys in there. It was a gang of girls. It was packed. And so I'm like, damn, I preferred to play it when it was just like him and maybe a couple people. And so I played it, and he went crazy. He was just like, yo, like, when can I cut this? Can I cut this tomorrow? I'm like, you can cut it right now. He ended up cutting the record the next day. That was my first record that I did with him, and that was Risk. And me and Krishan did that. Shout out to Tech. Tech did the beat and Lyrica. That led into him being like, yo, you come tomorrow. I'm up here tomorrow. I ended up spending the last month of his album working at Record Plant. The album was done. Something just told me like, yo, keep sending him records. And so I kept sending them records. Even though the royalty album was out, I kept sending records. And so I sent like about 5 records. I didn't get no response, but I was like, whatever. I know he busy, you know? And then he hit me and was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Like, yo, like, I'm fucking with your wave right now. That day I was just like really upset and just mad. Just like, yo, you know I'm talented. Why ain't my phone ringing like that? It did ring and it was him. We just started working. Right now we done did about 50 records or more. He'll cut like 10 songs in one day. So once I got a hold of that, like I got hip to that, I'm like, oh, I gotta be up like 40 songs a month. And so now I just be going crazy, just in the studio, just creating. And you know, whatever he fuck with is his, you know. And I just stopped like really just shooting in the dark, trying to get on all these other artists. I got one of the greatest artists of all times right here in my face, and he fucking with me, so I'm gonna put all that energy towards that. And so that's what I've been doing.